supported by a lot of the liberals and the Greens, for instance, and Social Democrats, so really a majority, who say we want more. They propose that an immediate stop, not only of coal, but also of oil. And that would be the real point. That would be the point where they could really hurt Vladimir Putin's Vladimir Putin on the money, on the financial side, because oil exports are his biggest part of the money that he gets from Western energy exports. And so that means they could really have a strong expression of their will and of their political determination. But it looks like that many member states are not ready to follow, are not ready to do that yet. And so sanctions might, at the end of today, come out as a whimper rather than as a bang.
Barbara, thank you very much for now. Our correspondent Barbara Basil there in Strasbourg. Meanwhile, here in Germany, the debate continues about Russian energy imports and weapons for Ukraine. Our political correspondent Nina Hase is on that story. Nina, Germany is under pressure from its allies to radically reduce energy imports from Russia. How far is it willing to go?
Well, Foreign Minister Annalena Baerbock has said that she supports a fifth sanctions package that would contain the beginning of a phase-out of all of Russia's fossil fuel deliveries to the EU. And obviously, we've just heard it, they would start with coal. And to be honest, Germany has already reduced its dependency there. Oil would follow in the next package, probably. If they really did agree to put oil in there, that would be a massive thing. But I doubt that. And gas. There's the fear that a sudden exit from Russian gas would harm the German economy in a way that it and other countries like Austria would be harmed more than Russia would, so that's not going to be possible quite as fast. And by the way, that German approach does seem to have the approval of the new US ambassador to Germany. Amy Gutmann said this week, and I quote, that I see Germany is doing everything it can, short of harming itself more than it harms Mr. Putin. And she's also praised Germany for trying to become less dependent and said that it's working more rapidly than anybody thought was possible.
What about weapons, Nina? Very controversial weapons for Ukraine. Is Germany ready to deliver more?
Well, Olaf Scholz, the German Chancellor, will be questioned by the members of the German Parliament later today, and we will be hearing quite a few critical questions from the representatives of both the extreme left and the extreme right, because those parties are against weapons deliveries for different reasons. But overall, there is consensus within the government and also the largest opposition group, the Conservatives, that Germany should deliver everything it can. Now, it is a touchy issue because the German government typically does not reveal just what types of weapons they're sending or have sent. And they argue they just don't want Vladimir Putin to know. Foreign Minister Annalena Baerbock, she has dismissed criticism of Germany being too reluctant or too slow. She says there are not many other countries that have delivered as much. Now, whether it's precisely what Ukraine wants, that's something you would have to ask the Ukrainians. But Annalena Baerbock has also said that because of the atrocities in Bucha, the German government is now looking into delivering things to Ukraine that they hadn't considered before.
Nina, thank you very much. Our political correspondent, Nina Hase there. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has called for urgent action from the United Nations over alleged Russian war crimes. He addressed the UN Security Council, sharply criticizing its inability to take action to end Russia's aggression. As a permanent member of the Council, Russia has the power to veto any binding resolution.
Only a day after returning from Bucha, Ukrainian President Zelensky addressed the killings in front of the UN. The Russian military searched for and purposely killed anyone who served our country. They shot and killed women outside their houses. When they just tried to call someone who was alive, they killed entire families, adults and children, and they tried to burn the bodies. Zelensky said Russia must be held accountable for its actions in Ukraine. He questioned the inability of the Security Council to punish Russia due to Moscow's veto power. We are dealing with a state that is turning the UN Security Council veto into the right to die. This undermines the whole architecture of global security. It allows them to go unpunished. so they are destroying everything they can.
На мир і безпеку.
The Ukrainian president called on the United Nations to act immediately, stressing that what happened in Bucha is only one example of Russian atrocities.
Earlier, we spoke to Mads Andenas, a professor of law at Oslo University. We asked him for his assessment on the role of the Security Council in the Ukraine conflict.
We don't have a world government. The Security Council is the best we have, and that cannot act without all the permanent 5 members of the Security Council agreeing, or at least not vetoing. I think that we have to take any opportunity to reform
the rallies up there is kind of
the United Nations and indeed the Security Council. However, it's not very likely that countries which today want action against Russia, that they would accept that they themselves should be subjected to any override. And that's the problem in international law. You can't just decide something for those who you want to punish or for your enemies. You then have to take on parallel obligations. And I think that is very difficult.
That's it. Yes, ma'am. All right, thanks, Mama. Love you too.
I'm Gerhard Elfers. Welcome to the program. And we start here in Germany, where Chancellor Olaf Scholz is just about to give a speech to the German parliament on the issue of Ukraine. And we will have coverage of that speech in a moment. He will then take questions from members of the Bundestag right after. We're seeing live pictures here. And with me, I have DW's Nina Hase. She's standing by at the Bundestag. Nina, tell us, what can we expect from this statement of the Chancellor?
Well, it's going to be a very brief statement, roughly 5 to 6 minutes, we're told, and it is going to focus solely on Ukraine. Now, of course, the big question is, have the atrocities in Bucha and all the pictures that we've seen recently, have they changed Olaf Scholz's position? The German Chancellor has, of course, not been in favor of imposing a full-fledged energy sanctions package on Russia. So this is something that we're going to have to watch very, very closely. Now, it is going to be an uncomfortable question time for the German Chancellor because he's under a lot of pressure. There are also members of his own party that now demand that also oil imports should be banned from Russia. And this is interesting to watch. Then domestic issues might also play a role because Germany is debating just how to make vaccinations against COVID mandatory, and his government is not looking too good in this situation. There have been many compromise proposals, so definitely a day that Olaf Scholz has not been looking forward to. Afterwards, in about an hour's time, we're also going to see the members of Bundestag debating the atrocities of Bucha, and they will be discussing just which consequences need to be drawn.
Do you think, Nina, that Scholz is under pressure right now from many of Germany's allies to do more?
Well, the US ambassador here in Berlin has said that she understands Germany's position, that they carefully analyze just which sanctions make sense and just how far they can go without harming themselves more than Mr. Putin. That is what Amy Gutmann said earlier this week. And she also praised Germany for trying to really become independent of Russian fossil fuels. And she said that the speed with which Germany is conducting these efforts is really commendable. And so this is something where we're seeing that some people are beginning to show understanding, because, of course, a full-fledged energy embargo on Russian imports would not just affect Germany, it would also affect other countries here in Europe, like Austria, for example. So Germany is not completely alone, But yes, Olaf Scholz is under a lot of pressure, and also members of his government have said in recent days that they're now considering other measures that previously weren't actually on the table, like, for example, sending weaponry to Ukraine that were previously not discussed because of this game-changing situation in Bucha and all the pictures that we're still expecting from those situations of atrocities in Ukraine.
Nina Hase at the Bundestag, thank you very much, and stay with us. Also with me in the studio is our chief political editor, Michaela Küfner. We've just spoken about the pressures that the German government, and chiefly, of course, Olaf Scholz, the Chancellor, is under internationally. What are the domestic pressures he's under right now in terms of, let's say, an energy embargo?
Well, clearly, he is speaking to German industry, which is telling him, look, if the gas tap is turned off, that will cost many industries the very foundation of their production, and it could potentially cost thousands of jobs. And there actually is a notable difference between the Chancellor's own analysis that gas could not immediately be replaced, and some experts who are saying, look, there is gas on the world markets, but the question is the logistics, and there are two different analyses here on the table between some of those energy experts and the Chancellery itself. Olaf Scholz himself comes from the Social Democrat Party, the German president, who is also the German former foreign minister from the Social Democrat Party, and he was one of the architects of the policy towards Russia to try and achieve change and participation under the European roof with Russia through trade, and that has spectacularly failed. That's also what he himself has admitted.
Y'all know what I find funny?
He has to navigate a line where
I busted this up on my Twitter page this morning. I'm trying to get into the Twitterverse. I haven't done enough tweeting, okay? But I'm getting into it far more now since Facebook became this permanent cesspool. I actually had to create a whole new Facebook page, that's kind of centered around the channel, right? That kind of separates my personal cesspool Facebook page from a more professional cesspool. However, what I found funny is that when I do these multi-streams, okay, essentially I send out the stream to Twitch, obviously, and it also streams on YouTube at the same time. This background music, right? It's just random music. It's legit just YouTube music, okay? It's this stuff. All right. It's just background music, right? It's not even like all that great. What I find funny, however, is that on several of my streams that have been uploaded directly to YouTube, I'll watch videos, right, from other creators, other content creators that are much, much bigger than me. All right. And I know I'm a nobody. Okay. That's why I play the background music. That's why I'm not super worried about copyright claims, because I'm not making any money anyway. Okay. So I don't really sweat it all that much. Not right now. But what I find funny is that my stream from yesterday had 7 copyright claims against it. 7. Ask me how many followers on my YouTube channel I have. It's more than 1, but less than 3. All right, see if you can guess. 2 followers on my YouTube channel. Multiple copyright claims. And it's not from these large creators that I'm reacting to their content, okay? It's not these super large creators who are like, how dare this failed male model react to my content? You know what I'm saying? Although, it may fall under fair use, so to speak, I still appreciate the fact that a lot of these larger creators don't go hunting for chuds like me just to wreck their day. However, I am rather upset, even though I don't make any money from it, I am less than a nobody in the content creation universe. Only one, count 'em, one of my streams are copyright claim free. Now, here's the thing. Here's the thing. All right. Let's get it. Let's get it going. Here's the thing. I understand that people make music and they don't like people utilizing their music as a means to make their own profit, okay? But I can promise you, well, I can't say specifically, but I can promise you that the vast majority of people who take the time to come watch me catch the stinky weasel are not the people who are coming just to enjoy the background music that's literally just there as ambiance. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think you would bother to do that. I don't think you would bother. Put my wedding video on my channel, like not Chewy Bits, but my own channel, right? I had a Justin Timberlake song in my video, which I had uploaded privately, by the way. You uploaded it privately? YouTube removed the video completely, only had it up on private. I had to send people links. Are you fucking serious? You uploaded it privately, so it's not even like there was any way that you could make profit off of it. You know, even if you were some mega creator with like a huge following, like, it's private, right? So does that mean that, like you said, you had to send out a specific link for people to find it, right? Yeah, 0 subs. That's what I'm saying, dude. I just went onto the YouTube channel this morning because I was going to, I know it's like hugely large, but, you know, you had offered and I had also thought about, you know, editing some of my streams. Not necessarily in this particular instance, I wasn't really worried about putting together a whole video of highlights or anything. But you know how on your Twitch channel, when you're offline, you can upload a video that plays that kind of gives people a feel of what you're all about or who you are and shit like that. So I got to thinking about that, and that clip, that segment that I had shown you yesterday, I thought that was kind of funny. So I kind of wanted to clip it, and I know that you can clip parts of the stream, but like as a viewer, I think you have to clip it while the stream's going. I'm not sure. But anyway, I just thought, okay, in an effort to edit some of this shit or even get that section out of it, you know, I'm going to download it to my external hard drive. And then I could put it in some software and edit it a little bit. And then I could upload that as my channel video when I'm offline. It's funny. It's funny enough that if you come in, you're going to be like, this dude is out of his fucking mind. And maybe I'll subscribe or follow. I'm sorry, I keep saying subscribe just because, you know, it's the most common thing I think of. But I know I can't get subscribers right now necessarily. But yeah, I wanted to do that, and I just happened to look at all the streams, you know, that are uploaded, and I think there was 8. I think 8 total that have been uploaded. You know, I've streamed more than 8 days, but it's only been 8 days since I had connected my YouTube channel to it. You know what I mean? So, 8. I think it's 8 streams that are up there. 7 of them have copyright claims, and all 7 of them have. Well, no, I'm sorry. One of the videos, one of those 7 only has a single copyright claim, whereas the other 6 have multiple copyright claims. Not by any of the creators that are bigger than me or anything like that, you know, but like immediate, dude. Like the one I just uploaded yesterday, like I said, what, 6 or 7? I can't remember exactly. I want to say it had 7 copyright claims against it, all from music companies, all different music companies too. So, and I know they program bots or they hire a shit ton of people to literally go out and you know, or they program some fucking algorithm to go out and hunt down this music. But like in your case, it's even more appalling because it was a private video. It's a wedding video, dude. Do you think I'm gonna make mad money off of that? Yeah, and I know it's like, again, an algorithm, or, you know, there's no way. I would say they're probably less likely to hire people to go out and do that, because that would just be insanely labor intensive to hire people to find these songs being used. So I'm sure it's like a computer program or something, a bot that they've programmed to do it. But essentially, this bot doesn't give a fuck about the context of the video, or whether it's private, or in like your case, was it YouTube itself? Where, because don't they have some shit built into the service that can identify songs and immediately, like, do they hit you with a copyright claim? Or like, I've heard different things where like YouTube kind of tries to help you out, and I don't know if it's like YouTube will be like, hey man, our algorithm determined that there's copyrighted music between this timestamp and this timestamp, you may want to clip it out. Or do they just let the copyright owner call you out for it themselves? Or, like, I don't know. I just don't know. I had a claim for a while and I did nothing about it because I was like, okay, that's fair, like, sure. And then he just took the video. Dude, that's fucking insane. And they took it down even though it was private. A private video. I just can't comprehend that, because you're not profiting off of it. You're not taking profit away from anybody else. Like, what is their fear? That somebody actually attended the wedding and was like, this song that they're playing as part of their wedding is fucking dope. But you know what? I'm not going to go search out the song. I'm going to go to this private link that Chad provided for YouTube and only listen to that song exclusively on Chad's channel. Like, I get it, okay? I remember back in the day when Napster and Kazaa and LimeWire and all these different music download, or even video download services were coming to fruition, right? And Napster was the biggest culprit because, you know, they were the biggest at the time. And then I remember when Lars Ulrich, I think, was the spearhead of it, but he's the drummer from Metallica, if memory serves. You know, spearheaded this massive lawsuit against, like, Napster and stuff like that. And at first I was like, this is stupid. Oh my God, don't you get paid enough? But then I really did come to understand. They have a point, okay? This is like a form of art, and art, entertainment, whatever you want to call it. They are creating a product that, up until the advent of Napster and these different services, you had to physically buy a CD or a tape or a fucking vinyl or whatever it was in order to enjoy it. So they were making money back, you know, from their hard work, so to speak. And then furthermore, when a band actually gets signed to a record company, those record companies just bend them over and fuck them in the ass. Especially if it's a smaller band that's just getting signed for the first time. When even a semi-major label signs you, you get so excited about making it as a musician that you get screwed on the terms, right? So the terms of the contract end up being that the record company and those assholes that don't do shit end up making significant amounts of money off of the band's hard work, you know? Under copyright law, you get 30 seconds. Oh, okay, sure. Uses the whole song. Yeah, that's what I mean, is like, most of the time I'm talking over it, you know what I mean? That's usually, I mean, right at the start of the stream, whenever I've got the starting soon, you know, pork logo up there. Usually I'll play, you know, a video, something like this, It'll have the background music in it, and then I'll start talking shit as I sit down and get ready to turn the camera on. But it's not usually super audible. I mean, you can tell what the song is, but to me, in my mind, just like I can't remember what the specific article is, or whatever it is, where under fair use, your content has to be transformative of the original content so that they can't copyright claim you. If I'm talking shit over the top of your music, I've transformed it. You know what I'm saying? I know that shit doesn't fly, but in my mind, it should. It should. I'm not just sitting here like this as the music plays in the background. I mean, the content would probably be better if I did that, but that's not what I do. So it's insane. Like you said, just the tiniest little blip of a song, and they'd be like, "No, sir, I'm sorry. You have no idea how hard we worked on that song, because we had to find the musician who's responsible for actually putting the hard work into the song, and we had to exploit the shit out of him, and I had to find a pen to sign the contract, and then I had to hand the pen over for the musician to sign it, and this was in the middle of the pandemic, and so then I had to clean the pen off afterward, and then I had to sit in my chair and wait for them to create songs, multiple of them, that then they turn around and put into an album. And then I had to tell other people, hey, they've made this album and we need to get it out to stores and different merchants, right? That's a lot of work for me, okay? And if you're gonna put it in your wedding video, excuse me, your wedding video on private, how are we supposed to sell our music when you have it on private? You know what I mean? It's just the whole mentality behind it is exactly what's wrong with the United States and a lot of countries, right? It's like you said yesterday, dude. We're in end-stage capitalism right now, where, like you said, everything's controlled by a few super huge companies, and that includes music, right? There are a lot of record labels, but all record labels, employ these real fancy attorneys, and they come in and just clap your butt cheeks when you're some chode just trying to get your feet under you. Or if you're just some chode getting married, I guess. It's ridiculous. It really is. And honestly, it just ends up being more demoralizing than anything, It's one of those additional things that we talk about that you hear about, or some fat guy gets on the internet and bitches about it. That's just like, Jesus, I've lost all hope for humanity, Like, I really wish that this wasn't something we had to fuck with. And just add it to the list, man. Add it to the list of bullshit. I'm looking at the different tips that go on my earbuds, because apparently one of my ear holes is different size than the other one, which immediately makes me hate myself even more than I already do. Because I have mild OCD, and when things are incongruent, it bothers the shit out of me. And since my ear holes are incongruent, that's problematic. Can't do a whole lot about that. But I really hate the idea of having to put one size tip in one ear and a different size tip in the other ear. So I'm trying to see which ones work best. Probably these are the medium-sized ones. Get on there. Wait, how are those different? Boy, she's tight. I'm trying to get this fucking thing on here. I've never had trouble getting the tip on, if you know what I'm saying. I'm gonna spit on it here in a second. All right, let's see how that feels in me. Let me put that in me and see how it feels. Ooh, it's actually pretty good. I'm sorry, ma'am. One of your tits is larger than the other. It bothers me just a bit too much. Exactly. That's why I make her leave her shirt on. I'm sorry, ma'am. I just can't stand your titties being out of whack. Those are some whack titties, and I don't want to mess with them. Maybe it's my imperfections that have made me this way. Because I was... One of the streams that you missed, which I'm glad you missed, because it probably wouldn't have been horrific to hear. But I was talking about, like, my back hair and my chest hair, and how it's like one side will be like straight, you know, and the other side is like extremely curly, and it drives me nuts. Please get on there, thank you. Ooh. Is that gonna work? So I think my right ear has a bigger ear hole than my left. Is that right? I'm serious. This like the one that I just had, the medium-sized one in my left ear was perfectly fine in terms of fit, but I'm like, no, I don't like that because I've got the large one in my right ear. I'm sorry, I know this is quality content, but once I get it worked out, we won't have to worry about it. Can you please get on there? Wow, man, this is really frustrating. I really don't understand. Hold on, I'm gonna have to get up. I'm gonna have to stretch her out and spit on her. Holy shit, dude. I really can't believe how fucking difficult it is to get this on here. Oh my god. This is like an epic battle between man and rubber. I'm the rubber. Good God, dude. Ma'am, your titties are incongruent. Fail plus size model struggles with rubber for an hour. Yeah, dude. Exactly. Failed porn star struggles with rubber for an hour. I wanted to find a way, because it's always got to be a fat dude, you know what I mean? That's part of the joke. It's got... Because I said that before, and I honestly believe it to a certain extent that fat people is the last unprotected class of people that you can make fun of. And that's fair. That's fair. Because it's a choice, right? That's what people say. Alright. This is not gonna happen. The big one's not gonna fit in my tiny left ear, dude-ar. It's alright, though. At least I answered the question, okay? And I won't have to sit here wondering. Beautiful. We're gonna call it good. what the hell? I'm Holocaust survivors.
Special protection. We work in close cooperation with our European allies with a view on what can be done in order to organize that. It is very difficult to evacuate because people, as I've said before, are old and sometimes in need of special care.
You don't have to applaud everything he says.
Next question will be by Leif Erik Holm of the AFD parliamentary group.
Is the Kremlin still like the White House of Russia? I know that sounds like a stupid question, but I can't remember if that was something that fell off like during when the Soviet Union dissolved, or if it's still the Kremlin, you know?
Exemplary household this year will have to pay 3,200 euros extra for fuel and energy. Gas and everything has to be compensated. We can already see the results. There are commuters who cannot go to work. Some even leave their job because it's not worth going there anymore, and this cannot continue like this.
I'm so sorry. You just got like junked to the face, but I had to take off my belt. Fat people understand. But doesn't matter. I try to get belts that are flexible and made of materials that are not abrasive, but despite how hard I try,
thank you very much.
It always cuts into my stomach.
It gives me a chance to once again highlight the praise that is part of your question. We have already passed 2 relief packages with a range of approximately 30 billion euros. I think in terms of dimensions, we are at the top of everything that has been organized in Europe, and we have used all our options. On this occasion, we have considered all the difficult situations for our citizens. We have done something for people depending on benefits. We have done something for citizens in terms of a heating cost bonus. We help commuters. We offer relief for fuel costs. We have come up with a solution for public transport.
Well, like, that's great. I mean, I haven't been paying much attention, but truthfully, it seems that the issue isn't that, you know, you're providing relief necessarily to the German citizens. I think the complaint, as it says in the headline there, that Germany, as a country, hasn't reduced its Russian energy imports. Am I understanding that correctly? Which, you know, it's not my place to tell them that what they should and shouldn't be doing, but, I mean, come on, man. When France was fucking around, we started calling them freedom fries, okay? You want to be the next guy that gets alienated? Huh? Instead of Oktoberfest, we're going to start calling it something different. All right? I guess Oktoberfest isn't a great example. All right? Listen. We can put the hurting on you, okay? There's no joke. No joke. You want to be ridiculed? Okay? Freedom Prize? You want another Freedom Prize session coming around? We can do that. All right? I'm trying, as I'm stalling, okay? What I'm doing right now is I'm stalling. I keep rambling because I'm trying to think of something that we have in America that's strictly German. And I'm failing. One of these days, this joke's gonna land. As soon as I think of something that's strictly German, that we can change the name of in the United States, boy, oh boy, you guys are gonna laugh. I tell you what, it's coming. It's not coming. I can't. Chad, help me. No visuals. I know that. I knew that. I've been doing this for a while, okay? Yeah, I had no idea. I need to remember that whenever I switch between my starting soon frame and the live frame, that I adjust the captures
in the course of negotiation
so that it's not showing game capture and not the display capture.
Offered the neutrality of Ukraine.
But I knew that. I was just testing the audience, man. I appreciate you being on your toes, though.
Willingness to be part of security guarantee
Holy shit.
Ukraine. We do support that.
Okay.
And we are happy to be part of that. Before that backdrop.
That's the thing, though, right? Okay, so yeah, Germany is shipping more weapons to Ukraine. That's cool. That's cool. I'd also heard that they're sending, as part of those weapons, it's like armored personnel carriers of some type.
Currently, we are conducting negotiations.
Yeah, yeah.
Neutrality plays a role.
I know.
But I have to say it here from the point
Yeah, this is the starting soon one, right? Which is exactly the same, except for, you know, it's got that down there and camera's hidden. But what happened was, when I switched to this scene, is when we were messing around yesterday through Discord, I had hidden the main display capture in the live viewing scene because I thought it was doing something weird with the way it was displaying. We got it figured out, but I just forgot to make it visible again. I do want to show the Stinky Weasel text, though. There you go.
On confidential terms with Ukraine, and
that's important.
Discuss it with others if they could play a role. But of course, it's in the nature of things that I cannot say any more, that I cannot be any more specific, because certain questions will have to be solved. So please excuse me for leaving this at such a general term. That's all I can say regarding.
I can't say anything. Like, I can't give you details. Okay, it's like a national security thing. I'm not gonna tell you that I actually have no idea what your answer is. But I'm just gonna keep it vague. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about, sir.
That debate in the German parliament right now, and let's bring in our political correspondent Nina Hase. She's at the Bundestag, followed this debate, especially that.
So you got the Kremlin, right?
Olaf Scholz. Nina, what stood out for
the
you?
Kremlin that I'm assuming is still Russia's White House, or seat of government, if you want to call it that. Is that what the Bundestag is in German?
One, he said all of Germany's efforts that are being undertaken in terms of support of Ukraine have the one goal
Bundeslag.
that Russia mustn't win this war. And then the second point was that Germany will do everything it can, everything that can be delivered in terms of weapons, for example, will be delivered. So that was something where Olaf Scholz said the only premise that we have is that we can't become a party to the war. NATO allies can't be seen as essentially getting involved into this conflict directly. So that is the dilemma of the German government.
You need
The third point
Olaf, I'm not agreeing with. I mean, I agree. Okay, let me rephrase that. I agree with the assertion that we can't be viewed as getting involved in this conflict. I'm okay with that. Right? Because inevitably it would most likely lead to nuclear war. However, my problem with that is we need to implement more meaningful contributions. I mean, and my mind changed, right? I feel like more meaningful contributions to Ukraine and to the conflict have been necessary all along, except I was more concerned about walking that fine line that everybody's worried about, you know, where at some point Putin's going to get fed up with NATO's contributions at all, and, you know, that's when the nukes start flying. But with what happened in Bucha, and I mean, I just can't overemphasize how appalling, sad, and outrageous, really, that whole scenario is. And like it says, Zelensky tells UN Bucha only one example of Russian atrocities. And I believe that. I believe that now. I mean, obviously they've been creating war, you know, and all the shitty things that come with it for over a month now. But with the evidence in Bucha the UN Security Council stated that there's very convincing and compelling evidence that Russia was certainly behind it. I know there wasn't anybody really contesting that except for the Russian douchebag who was representing the Russian Federation in the UN Security Council yesterday, but it just kind of solidifies in everyone else's minds that it's gotten. I hesitate to say that it's gotten out of hand because it's been out of hand, right? It's been unacceptable from the start and from the jump, but again, we've been walking this fine line between what we can do to intervene and what we can't do. But there is a part of me that feels that I think 2024, if memory serves, is when Russia's next election is supposed to occur. All right. However, I do remember not long ago, and Chad or anybody can correct me if I'm mistaken, but I do seem to remember that Putin not too long ago changed the rules when it came to the presidency, and he extended the term on how long you could be president. And I can't remember the exact years, but it seemed like he took it from like 3 to 5 years or from 3 years to 4 years. All I know is he extended the term that you could be president in Russia. And as far as I know, he didn't change the consecutive term limit. So I think I read an article that said in Russia, 2 consecutive terms is your maximum limit to be Russian president. And Putin is coming up on his end of term. So once he's already signed into law a rule that extends the length of time that you can spend as president, but he's coming up on the end of that as well. And I'm not an expert, of course, but I don't see him relinquishing control of Russia to anyone else. So I think he's going to change the rules again whenever it comes to, the presidential elections there. He's going to change the law, probably stating that, you can serve 3 consecutive terms or 4, if he still wants to operate within reason, I guess, if you want to call this reasonable, he will change the law saying that he can continue at least for another term, or he might just outright say, I'm forever president. I'm sorry, if he just wants to go balls deep. But he's at least going to say that another consecutive term is going to be allowed from now on. And then when the election occurs, it's going to be an absolute landslide in favor of Putin. And in that context, you can start crying and say, yes, this election was rigged and stolen, because it actually was. It's not like the Chuds are screaming about in America. And then the cyber ninjas, with all their expertise, come in and confirm that the Chuds were wrong again. But then you go up to these people who still believe that the election was stolen, you ask for the evidence, and they don't provide any evidence. They just say, well, you're blind. You're not seeing the evidence. But there's tons of it out there. Really? Because you and Chump, you guys all keep saying that shit, but yet I haven't seen any of it. Like, literally, I visually haven't seen any of it. You guys just keep insisting it's there, but you never show it. And, that's a hallmark of somebody who's in the right and somebody who knows what they're talking about, is they're apprehensive about presenting the evidence. My mom and I were talking about this the other day. It's not very often that I will insist that I'm correct. And you'll hear me say it on the stream or even in one-on-one conversations. I always put disclaimers in everything I say. Like, I'm an idiot. I don't know what I'm talking about. Don't take my word for it. I always try to soften the certainty that I put into anything that I say, because I'm not certain most of the time. But in the rare case that I do know what I'm talking about, I will say that. I will say, here's the thing. This is what's going on. This is for sure 100%. And if I am confident enough to say that and lean into the prospect that I am correct, and I still get arguments, right? And I still get somebody bucking back and saying, no, dude, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. There's nothing more satisfying than being able to present that evidence to that douchebag that is constantly arguing with you and be like, you know what I mean? And you just do this stupid fucking smile. You know, like a fucking smirk where you're like, why don't you read through that and tell me what it says? You know what I mean? It's really vindicating where you can just fucking shove it in somebody's face and be like, no, I am actually correct, and provide that proof. So the same thing applies, right? The same thing, in my opinion, applies to what's going on with the contention around the election, right? Is for real. If you guys had the evidence, you would be rubbing it in everybody's face, right? Or are they just so stupid that they forget to bring the evidence? No, that's not the case. There isn't evidence. And it's so bizarre that so many people are, I mean, they honestly believe it, right? They honestly believe for sure that this stuff is, that it was rigged or whatever. But yet they won't provide the evidence. You know, it's so bizarre. This fucking thumbnail with Putin's face. Oh my God. That is horrific, dude. Oh my God. That's like me, dude. That would be if I like had the camera but down here and I'm just... Somebody clip that. Look how small it makes my goatee and my chin look. I mean the first chin, the top chin, not the bottom. You know what I'm saying? Who caught Putin like this? And are they still alive to this day is my second question. Probably not. What the fuck was I talking about? Oh yeah, the evidence, man. Come on. If you had the evidence, you'd be slapping everybody with it. You don't have the evidence. And it's bizarre. It's bizarre. It's bizarre that they just lean into that so heavily. Ooh. Speedbird TV's doing plane spotting. Oh, I'm sorry. I gotta watch this. Time for a plane boner. Time for plane boners. But yeah, you know, when you don't have the evidence, of course, you aren't going to be able to present it to anybody. So when, you know, legitimate people ask you, like, can you show me the evidence? Well, I don't have it, but there's tons of it, and it's out there. And if you don't see it, it's because you're an idiot. Yeah, that's probably right. That's probably accurate. Jesus, it's absolutely bizarre that people are willing to, you know, believe these things without evidence, man. It's just, you say it enough times and they just are like, yep, that must be true. Why would you not, why would you be so willing to commit that to absolute certainty? I mean, without seeing evidence from legitimate sources other than Facebook, you know what I mean? Like, it's just the dumbest shit. Yeah, buddy. Jesus. Is he up too high or something? Because he's like trying to nosedive into the ground.
That is the next fact-finding mission on how many 737 Maxes Ryanair have got.
Whoa. It must be windy out there or something. Whoa. Whoa. Easy, boy. Put it down. Holy shit. That was a little nerve-wracking. I wonder if it's the first officer getting some flight time in. To be completely honest, I don't remember what I was talking about before I got into the rant about the Chuds and their false evidence, so we're just going to watch planes for a minute. I really don't remember. I had a point. I'm sure we were talking about Russia and Ukraine or something like that, but this is... It's gone, man. It's fucking gone. Maybe I'll remember it at some point. I'll remember it later on if I look back through this stream.
About 50, yeah. I had a feeling I didn't want to... Aridi, how you doing? Can't believe that's the nose-down attitude of that aircraft.
Yeah, that was crazy. It really... He didn't look like he was stabilized. Or it must be gusty, but, you know, just by this tree that's nearby, it doesn't look like it's gusty or even windy.
Quite glad that we chose the Wednesday evening. What more different things? Wayne, the MD-11 just entered the stack. Mikey, I can see that in the stack there at the second as well, looking very busy aircraft.
Where's he at? Stansted Airport?
Air travel is back, folks.
Oh! It looks like security is on their way to come clap his ass cheeks and be like, dude, what are you doing over here in the bushes? You look creepy.
Adverse, Singapore Airlines, Qatar, lots for TUI.
He looks more, a little more stable than the other one. Oh! What's going on, man? Yeah. Flare. Holy shit. He barely flared at all. I need to break out my flight sim controls again. I have a lot of components. Like I've got the yoke, right? And I think I even have rudder pedals still in the box from when I bought them. I got the yoke, I got the rudder pedals. I even bought the instrumentation switches that, you know, bolt to the top of the yoke. Throttle switches with the flaps and the slats and the gear up lever, all that shit. I need to set it all up, and then one time when I'm doing the stream, just go in with my complete lack of knowledge about how to fly airplanes and just hop into a 747 and see how I do in flight sim. That would be the shit. I'm gonna have to look up the layout for this airport. I don't know if it's like a difficult approach or... Let's see.
Near enough as quick as what they arrive into Heathrow.
Yeah, Heathrow, I mean, obviously he's in Britain, but he was doing a live stream plane spotting from Heathrow the other day, and it was like one plane right after the next. It was crazy. Like you could look up in the sky and see like 3 or 4 of them, you know, with like a mile separating each of them, but you could see all of them coming in just in a constant flow. It was nuts.
That's it, folks. If you can hit that like button on here, absolutely Be forever grateful.
Let's see.
Have an absolute pleasure doing this for you lot, I tell you.
How long has he been streaming for? Oh, like an hour ago. I'll give it a like, man. Hell yeah. Might as well. You know, you really don't realize how much that means, especially to smaller creators. Okay, let me see. I'm trying to get like an overview.
I just don't think they've been able to replace them, in all fairness. And I think that's the sad fact of it. Top of that with a lot of aircraft retirements. Pretty sad to see, but it will get sorted. I think this is now, if you want a career in aviation, this is probably the best time to actually apply for a job.
Put that around 15. Trying to make sure that
Beautiful.
that in terms of the sound,
Mikey, it's great, isn't it?
that it doesn't sound like garbage, because I keep getting an indication on my mixer that the sound coming from the computer is like peaking.
You know what, I love it when it's busy like this as well.
So I'm like in the settings here to make sure that that's not happening, I guess.
I think I'm neglecting you all in the chat though, folks. Obviously, as you can see, very...
Huh. Hold up. Oh, okay. So that's the input coming into it, I guess. So if I like volume down, probably, will it take it down? Yeah, there we go. Okay. Sorry, still trying to get some of the shit figured out for sure. I just definitely don't want to create a scenario when everything sounds like garbage, you know? So, let me put that there. And y'all let me know if you get a chance what the volumes sound like.
What an epic sight, wow. Something you don't see every day.
Whoa.
What a machine.
Is that one of the Embraer? Embraer, I think, is the manufacturer, but it's a larger Embraer. Because it's got that third engine on the tail fin, which you don't see a lot of anymore. That's pretty cool, though.
Look at that.
Look at that. I tell you what, it gives me an airplane boner. I got a zit on my scalp, so you're gonna have to watch me. Can't just leave it there, you know? What do you want me to do? Okay.
Now that was a bit wobbly.
Was it? Hold on, let me run that back. Was it wobbly? I didn't pay any attention to the wobble. What are you talking about? He's stable as fuck.
Look at that.
Ugh. Okay, he got a, you know. Whoop. 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 Okay. Yeah. Yeah, all right. It wasn't great. It was better than I could have done under the circumstances, okay? I really don't like zits on my scalp. They're painful. So, you know, squeezing the fuck out of them is always the way to resolve it. Make them stop hurting, you know? Wow. Wow, look at that.
Wow, wow, wow.
What the fuck is going on? Sorry.
Not a problem, Chris. Thank you, Mark. Appreciate that.
There we go. That's better. Alright. Look at that.
Hopefully get some real good shots of that FedEx aircraft heading to the ramp.
I think I'm gonna give myself a stroke with so many damn devices. Oh shit, wait. Yeah. I forgot. I gotta go do a thing. I'll be right back.
Normally at Heathrow we've got sort of even ground. Here it's very, very uneven. Cannot wait to edit that out. What a machine this thing is. I just hope that cargo Lux 747 arrives, folks. Beautifully done. Oh, well, hold on. Wow. More things you don't see every day. Beautiful stuff. "737 heaven indeed. I'm debating whether to focus on this or actually get the FedEx going back into its stand over there at the FedEx building. Oh, they are. Miss Walls 13.
Okay. Sorry about that. It started pissing rain, so I had to go get our trash cans from the end of the driveway so they wouldn't fill up with water.
Beautiful. I'm going to, if I can, see if I can focus on that ND11 turning in. Down there, Paul, now you're talking...
Alright.
Gaming Blade, yes, I will do.
Yeah, for real. So I'm psyched too, okay? I'll tell you why I'm psyched. Because I'm getting my birthday present a little bit early. And this is fucking so stupid.
Clive sandwiches, actually...
But anybody who's a nerd / gamer,
no prohibition
both,
on there.
will understand. I was looking at different internet providers today because, you know,
the radios.
It's not super fast, and of course we're limited to just a couple different providers in the neighborhood we live in. So I was looking, one of them's AT&T. So I was looking to see if AT&T had any better offerings than our current provider.
This MD11 actually being...
And, you know, it kind of reminded me of something that, Chad, you were saying last night about the data limit, the cap on it. And I forgot about that. Main reason I'd forgotten about it is because with our small local provider, we had paid for unlimited data, which was an extra $40 a month on top of our basic plan price. But it came out to $120 a month, all right, that we're paying for the internet with this local company, which ultimately ends up being the speed is 300 megabytes per second download. It only averages like 270 though, for real. I've checked a shit ton of times. But still, it's still reasonable, right? I'm not going to be super mad about that. But it's the 30 megabytes per second upload speed, which, like you were saying, is also sufficient for streaming. But, you know, as I was looking at AT&T, and it reminded me of the data cap, and AT&T caps you at a terabyte per month, which I know is still all right, I guess. You know, that's still a decent amount of data, but I alone, in my family, consume so much internet bandwidth. I only watch YouTube. I only watch Twitch. You know, I only stream. So the content that I consume, at least at a minimum of 10 hours a day, is using internet, okay, using bandwidth. So the 1 terabyte, you know, I'd have to work pretty hard, but I myself could probably top 1 terabyte a month worth of data. So when you start combining or adding in the fact that there are other people that live here who also consume internet bandwidth and data, that 1 terabyte fills up pretty quick. So I was like, fuck. So immediately I went and checked our current internet provider, logged into the account just to see, you know, and it reminded me that, yes, we pay an additional $40 per month for unlimited data, but that was at least an option, which it might be through AT&T, but, you know, I didn't pay much attention. But, again, total, our bill was $120 per month with our local provider, 300 per second download, 30 upload, right? But I was looking at other options of our current provider to see, you know, if there's any way to boost the speed, both download and upload. So we're paying a total of $120, right? They offer a gig worth of speed, you know, which they say can get up to 1,000 megabytes per second of download speed and 50 megabytes per second of upload speed. No limited data. The data is completely unlimited, and you don't have to pay extra in this particular plan to get it for $110 a month. $10 less per month compared to what we were currently paying, and we end up getting 3 times as much download speed and almost twice as much upload speed with unlimited data. So we jumped on that shit real fast, like real fast. And but the only downside was I got a Netgear router. It's decent, you know, but it's a few years old, and it's not capable of like Wi-Fi 6, like the, what is it, DOCSIS? There's some protocol that's built into it. I can't remember. I think it's DOCSIS, DOCSIS. But they're up to DOCSIS 3.1, whatever the fuck that means. But this router's not capable of DOCSIS 3.1. So for my birthday, my mom, she's about home right now, but she got me a router, a new router that's capable of the DOCSIS 3.1 protocol. So I'm like, fuck yeah, dude. So excited. I'm so excited, dude. Yeah, that's what I said. That's that mommy's home like now with the router that can do gig. If it supports only gig speed, it will not functino. It's like 2300 gig is what it's capable of, or some shit like that. Or, yeah, you know what I'm saying, 2300 megabytes. She's home, right? So I need to go help her carrying some bullshit. Yeah, she coming. She coming.
Wayne. Simon, yes, mate. That is exactly it. No,
Yeah.
no drama.
Yeah, it was.
It's just
Yeah.
education and
Robbery. All right.
as much as we physically can, you know?
I'll be right back.
Beautiful. I thought they was. They was offloading the FedEx this side. Little cargo ops there as well, folks, for you. No, I haven't seen an EasyJet movement from Stansted all afternoon. I suppose their hub, either Luton or Gatwick. Ooh. Very nice. Gaming Blade. Yes, I can. 2 seconds, mate. Simple Ben, yes. Probably going to have a look through on flight radar in a minute, folks, as well. Check the whereabouts, hopefully, of that 777, if it is even still on course. Gatineau fire station, folks. Right here. Literally about a minute's walk, maybe 2 minutes if the ground is just that little bit soggy. Premium decorators. Got a YOLO. It's called a YOLO box. It streams to both Facebook and YouTube. Starting to look nice. Not a problem. Darren Richardson, hello to you. Everyone on Facebook over here watching on Facebook. Simon, there is. And Darren Smith, hope you're enjoying, mate. Robert Pryor, got my London bus now, peeps, enjoy. Paul, it's lovely, isn't it, mate? It really is. So nice to see these aircraft. Welcome along now, everyone just joining us.
Sorry, I was muted. But you are absolutely right in what you're saying, because overall, yes, the internet speeds, connections, and the prices and all of that are absolute dog shit in this country. And I was so hysterical whenever they sent the notice saying that they were about to cap our internet data at home, that we immediately tried to rectify it. And that process of rectifying it was, at the time, the company, Cable One, had bought out New Wave. And so they just had like band-aids on certain scenarios, you know what I mean? So with the implementation of the data cap, their immediate solution, of course, was to make more fucking profit off their customers. So instead of offering a more feasible solution, they just charge you like $80 for the 300 megs. Was like, I don't know, stupid, but I guess reasonable, because it originally started off as we were paying X amount of dollars for 100 meg. Then they sent us a notification saying, we're going to double your speed for free. And so then they bumped us up to 200 meg, and it seemed like they were doing us a favor. But they weren't, right? Because they were already overcharging in the beginning. But, yeah. Then whenever I looked online this morning, was like, holy crap. What a great deal. For $10 less a month, we could get like a gig of speed. And like you said, it's a joke, man. It's like, it's not even like that great of a deal. It's just great in comparison. And that's what Mom and I were just talking about. She was at the store looking for like chips. And how they always offer a discount if you buy more than one. It's like a bag of chips for $4.89 for one. But if you buy two, you can get both of them for $6, And it seems like a great deal. It is in comparison to what the cost is for a single one. But you know what they could do? They could just charge $3 for one bag and $6 for two bags. But then, come on. How are they supposed to make obscene quantities of money that way? Obviously, I'm eating, so I'm trying to push the mic away from me as I chew. It's funny because it reminds me of I always forget because they're very similar movies, but Tommy Boy and Black Sheep, the Chris Farley and David Spade movies. It was Black Sheep because it's the one where they travel around. Nope, it's Tommy Boy. Because they travel around to different, auto parts companies, and they try to sell their brake pads. And I think it's like they're traveling in his car, which David Spade really loves his car in that movie. It's a nice classic car, and it's like Chris Farley takes a big old wad of French fries and shoves them in his mouth, and then squirts ketchup into his mouth. And David Spade's like, ugh, I can actually hear you getting fatter. That's the first thing that pops into my mind whenever I'm eating. Especially if I'm eating on stream. Dude, can you fuck right off, for real? I get tired of giving you human food. Even if it's right after I've fed him his food. If he sees or hears or smells food that I am consuming, he's more obnoxious than he normally is. I hear you getting fat. Honestly, though, same.
Very nicely done.
In which palm oil is not a bad business to be in. Workers are relatively well paid, and there are a lot of small-scale farmers who participate in this industry. They work alongside plantations, and then they earn a pretty good living through the 1970s and 1980s. More recently, coerced labor has come back in the form of undocumented migration. And there's been a number of really serious allegations of plantation companies abusing undocumented workers because they don't have legal protections. And so there's some echoes here of this colonial legacy, but it is a different political situation. In terms of the players, some of the companies that were active in the colonial era are still around. So Unilever is a big one. It doesn't own plantations today, but it's still very heavily involved in the palm oil industry. There are a couple of other, there's a Belgian company called Socfin that is a big plantation interest and has been around for more than 100 years at this point. And a lot of the colonial era companies that were European owned, a few of them were American owned, were eventually bought out by Asian investors, by Malaysian and Indonesian and Japanese and Korean and Chinese financiers who have kept a lot of the same corporate practices, but just transferred ownership.
Is there anything happening in terms of Congress to deal with the issues that are coming up on the business in these businesses? I mean, do we have any? Does the U.S. have any type of, I guess, regulatory system, or is there anything that's to look into or to in any way inhibit the use of what sounds like nearly slave labor on palm oil coming into this country?
Yeah, and it relies on some very old laws that date back to the early 1900s. that were put in place specifically about concerns over unfair competition with American manufacturers, unfair competition from exploitative labor practices overseas. And some of these laws have been dusted off and used just last year. Customs and Border Patrol banned shipments from a very big Malaysian palm oil company over allegations of labor abuses. And so there is a regulatory framework that exists. We have laws in place. I think one of the takeaways I hope your listeners pick up is that the U.S. is a relatively small fish in the palm oil world. The U.S. does buy a lot of palm oil from Southeast Asia, but the biggest consumers by far are India, China, Indonesia itself. And it's these countries that really dominate and are really driving these dynamics in how palm oil is produced.
And how about companies that present themselves as all natural, sort of progressive-ish? I mean, we're here in Brooklyn. If I go to the vegan grocery store or whatever that I see, there's Dr. Bronner's there, things like that. I mean, can you talk a little bit about how their practices play into this?
Yeah, well, Dr. Bronner's is an unusual example in that they have a long history of seeking out partners that they feel are behaving ethically. And Dr. Bronner's actually operates a palm oil facility in Ghana where they don't own any land. It's not a plantation. They partner with local farmers and help them, adhere to USDA standards. They pay attention to welfare. But this is a very small, a minuscule slice of the palm oil market. There's a much larger industry group called the Roundtable for Sustainable Palm Oil that has created a sustainable certification label that you may see on some products. And this is an industry-led group. It relies a lot on self-policing, and there have been a lot of complaints that it's not a very effective system. But the bigger issue, even with this RSPO certification, is that it relies on companies and consumers ultimately being willing to pay more for palm oil, being willing to pay a premium for sustainable, ethical palm oil. And the last figures I saw, which are a couple years old, showed that half of all of the certified palm oil that was available went unsold or went unsold at this premium price, which really shows that the companies could be buying more ethical oil. They're choosing not to.
That's not a shock to me. Jonathan Robbins, the book is Oil Palm, A Global History. Thanks so much for your time today. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for talking to me.
Okay, folks. Fascinating. You don't really tend to think of palm oil that much. I don't. I haven't in the past. I guess I will now.
Now more. I will, yeah.
All right.
Although I do love coconut oil.
We have...
That's a good makeup remover if there are any women watching. Saves you a lot of money.
I didn't know that.
Or, men who like to wear makeup, or anybody.
Anybody.
Thank you.
For makeup.
I was about to get pissed that she wasn't representing me properly.
Go into... want to get to this these couple of clips.
Takes a lot of work to look this crispy.
When do we know when that vote will be?
Tomorrow,
Tomorrow. It's Thursday. Right. Okay, I lost the day this week. Full Senate is going to be voting on Ketanji Brown Jackson's nomination tomorrow. It is appears as of now it's going to be 53 to 47 in terms of assuming all the senators are there in terms of approving her nomination in the full Senate.
No more flight issues.
No more flight issues, etc.
Were there flight issues where senators couldn't show up?
What is... there's a lot of things that have been disturbing about this process, not the least of which how much the Democrats failed in taking advantage of this golden opportunity to show the American public how deranged the Republican Party has become. And
how do you do that, though? I mean, here, let me say this. How do you do that? How do you show how deranged they've become? I mean, seriously. Because, in my opinion, they've been mask off about how insane they are for a while. And so you've got the people, okay, who are on their side, okay, on the same side as the right, okay, who buy into the bullshit and the insanity, okay. So you're not going to convince them that it's insane. They've bought into it. They're a member of the cult already, right? They're part of the gang. There's no convincing them. On the other side, I'd like to think that we done knew that they were fucking crazy. We already know that. We know that. So one side buys into the crazy, is the crazy, and the other side, I think, is cognizant of the fact that they're fucking crazy. So, you know, even in, if you try to picture, like me in my mind, how, you know, the left would emphasize that the other side is deranged and crazy, how do you do that? Like, do you just go on and say things like, well, these questions are out of line and it's completely insane? You know, that's part of the same script that you've seen before. You saw it from the other side with Kavanaugh, you know, whenever there were legitimate allegations against him and they were giving him legitimate questioning, you know, and the right side was like, hey, listen, this is completely outrageous line of questioning, you know. So you're not doing anything new to try to highlight the opposite side's crazy. And like I said, there's two parties to this, right? There's the party that already buys into it and believes it and has wholeheartedly become devoted to the insanity. And then the other side, and we all know that they're fucking crazy. So I don't think you need to highlight it, because I think, if nothing less, we've realized that it's become accepted, the insanity, you know, and buying into the conspiracy theories and becoming a part of that, the alt-right, you know what I mean? Or the far right. It's almost like, you know, it's like you said, Chad, and I'm in the same boat. It doesn't do any good to debate people who are that far into it. Or even try to, not even debate, have a conversation where you throw out facts that actually are facts, you know, it's not like just your opinion. And they respond with their own version of facts or complete falsehoods that they firmly believe are 100% true. So I don't know. It's like you can't pull them back from the brink. And truthfully, I think it's wasted effort, right, to try to do that, in my opinion. Do you highlight their insanity? Sure. But I guess you can. But what is that going to do? I mean, like I said, the vast majority of us already know of the insanity. I mean, those of us on the other side. Maybe there's some benefit in highlighting their insanity because of the centrists, right? Or the people who are kind of teetering on the fence. And you want to highlight to those people specifically. Yeah, you're about to see it. All right, that's going to be part of my title tomorrow. It's going to have something to do with a fat man shaving. All right, so look for that. Look for that quality content. Tinny, 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 can't you see? Is it tinny because of my shaving? I know. I should, dude. Just blur this, okay? Just blur the razor and my mouth, like, and then I could just, you know what I mean? Like, and it just be all blurred out, and people be like, "What the fuck is he doing? Did he just pull a dildo out, a vibrator out of his drawer, directly next to him and start sucking it off?" I did. Well, good news. This probably won't resolve it, but I got the router. the Netgear versions of similar router modems, whatever, are crazy expensive. Crazy expensive. This one was on sale by comparison. It was still $200, but it was normally $350. Oh, that's good. Yeah, I was looking at the Nighthawks. That's what I wanted to get, but it was like $350, $400. I'm like, holy shit. There was one left on sale on Amazon this morning, for $200 or $250, but it was like the entry level Nighthawk. I mean, not that that's a bad thing, but in any case, I'm sure it's an improvement over what I got here. Got to take all the goodies out of it. I don't need that because I'm not a chode. I need this and this and this. That's what I need. All right, Sam, get back to it.
Here is Exhibit A of that derangement. Maybe it's Exhibit B, or maybe
it's Exhibit double Z. We've already gone through the alphabet number of times with examples of their insanity.
General Republican senators, it has been extraordinary how little hay the Democrats have made of this. Here's Tom Cotton. Maybe Donald Trump doesn't run.
Didn't he already declare that he was running 2024?
Republican would be.
Or did I just have a nightmare the other night where I dreamt that?
That was used in an unsuccessful attempt to blow up a passenger airplane. Another planned and executed a rocket attack on U.S. forces.
He's talking about Gitmo.
Okay, I was wondering what the hell he was talking about.
Coming in the middle of him talking about some of the prisoners held in Guantanamo that Ketanji Brown Jackson was part of representing.
Nice.
Because in this country,
I bet you know, they've used the same excuse that they have on every other good or service in this country and said, well, inflation, okay, inflation. That's why they're more expensive now.
Half of essentially the government on some level.
Or maybe I'm just drunk and I don't remember the prices accurately. That's possible.
A raid on an Al-Qaeda explosives training camp. Yet in every case, she claimed that none of them had anything to do with terrorism. Not a thing. Totally innocent, just goat herders who were picked up by marauding American troops.
Yeah, it's accurate.
Sorry, just pause it right there. The facts on the ground show that at least half of the prisoners in Guantanamo were innocent, and you know
what I watched the other night that was really sick, man. I don't know why I watched it, but sometimes you got to watch really appalling stuff to let the truth of atrocities really sink in, you know. And it was something that was put out on WikiLeaks several years ago. It was combat footage from Iraq or Afghanistan in 2005 or something like that. And it was, footage, night vision footage.
And regardless, again,
and
we have a system where criminal
from an
defendants
attack helicopter.
Who are going to try and argue on behalf of their clients. Period.
You know, the last Judge Jackson left the Supreme Court to go to Nuremberg and prosecute the case against the Nazis. This Judge Jackson might have gone there to defend them. Judge Jackson.
Like a little laugh there as he delivers that almost.
Oh, he was excited.
It's
yeah, a lot of people will be so happy. I can't tell you who. There's so many people.
She would go and provide defense for criminal defendants.
If America was in a place where it could send a team of sort of black public defendants to represent the Nazis at Nuremberg, it would have been kind of a civilizational flex.
I think so. Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's play Marsha Blackburn, just to give a sense of how of the lunacy that's involved in these Republicans.
Lunacy? How dare you? These are highly educated,
Marsha Blackburn.
representatives of the God-fearing political party.
I asked her a very simple question. I asked her to define the word woman.
Oh God, I remember this.
It's something that everybody learned in grade school science class. But Judge Jackson refused to answer.
No, she didn't.
The fact that she couldn't or wouldn't answer that question speaks volumes.
Pause it for 1 second. If Marsha Blackburn was looking for an answer that was delivered in grade school biology,
why wouldn't she say vagina?
I wanted to hear vagina.
It is so clearly been politicized.
Correct.
That of course a judge is not going to answer on this.
She's not a doctor.
It's absurd. And it's like baked into the premise of her comment.
You know what I mean?
Why she didn't answer.
Her response is perfectly adequate, which is that, like, if that ever comes up in a case, and for some reason, I would consult with experts on the topic.
All right, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna end the stream real quick. I'm gonna hook up my router, and I'll be right back. All right.